Hey guys, before we get started, just a quick thing I thought I would mention to you. Presumably you're already subscribed to my channel. Right beside the subscribed button, there's a little bell. You need to click that bell and click the box that says send me all notifications for this channel. This is a new thing that YouTube has introduced, and if you do this, it will absolutely ensure that every time I post a video, you will be notified. Click the save button, and you're all done. Hey, while you're down there, why not give me a thumbs up? And of course, share the video if you think anyone else will be interested on any one of these networks down below. Thank you so much for your support, guys, and let's get on with it. Cheers. Wow. All right, well, happy Homebrew Weekly, guys. I'm naming this beer Mambo number 5. This is the 5th generation of this USO5 yeast. This is number 6. Wow. Yeah. Might have to make some bread. I don't know. There's lots there. But anyways, talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to taste this. I just kegged it and I just poured it for the first time. It's a little bit chill haze. Well, I wouldn't call this just chill haze. I think it needs to clear a little bit. I probably kegged it a day too early, a day or two too early, but I had to get it going because I'm out of beer. So looks good. Fermentation is always like crazy. Like look at the crowds in there. I mean I don't usually get that. Right? So that's what we're getting with these beers. You know, you pitch the yeast and it's ready to go. It's like all set to party. So anyways, let's give this a try. Listen, before we even do that, I'm doing this as an experiment, and I'm not going to sit here and slave over recipes and things like that for this experiment. So I'm doing Cooper's kits. Nothing wrong with them anyway, but I'm just saying. I'm kind of alternating between 3 different ones. I've done the English bitter with this yeast. This yeast has been through English bitter, IPA, without added hops, and whatever this one is. Hang on, let me. A lager kit with that yeast. So it's not really a lager, kind of a pilsner, or, you know, a light ale. So that's what this has been through. And look at it, still looks great. Now, okay, let's just taste the damn thing and see what we've got. Cloudy as hell. It will clear up, but let's see what we've got. Cheers, guys. Okay, yeah, it's still holding out. I'm going to reserve my final comment until this actually clears out a little bit, because, you know, it does taste a little yeasty. But I wanted to get it done by today and get this video out and whatnot. So, but as far as I can tell, the yeast is fine. So this is number 5. 5th generation of using the same yeast and doing exactly what you just saw me do. Just, you know, drain all your beer out of the thing, slosh it around, pour it into a sanitized jar, put it in the refrigerator. Now, be careful, because I made a mistake. And I posted to the 17 Brew Crew forum, and you know what? As a side note, I really love that place, because I had never had this experience before. I actually accidentally froze Yeah, I froze this bit here by accident. What I did was, I've got my keezer, you know, the lift up lid where I put my keg, whatever. And I, normally I keep stuff in there, sometimes even food, like from the fridge upstairs if there's no room. But what happens is when I keg my beer, normally what I would do is take the keg, right, and stick it in that keezer. And what I do is I take out the temperature probe from the temperature controller, right? I just take it out and lay it on the ground. That way it thinks it's 70 or 68 degrees. So it'll turn the freezer on, and it'll basically allow the freezer to use its own temperature controller to regulate it, which means it turns it into a freezer, basically. So you don't have to mess with the temperature or anything like that. Just take the probe out, lay it down on the ground, and your freezer will turn into a freezer instead of a fridge, right? So that's what I do. To get the beer cold takes about 3 hours, and that way I can force carbonate it if I'm in a hurry. Well, last time I did that, I accidentally forgot to take this out and it froze. So I posted, actually, I don't know why I didn't use, okay, never mind. So I posted to the 17 Brew Crew forum and said, hey, I froze my yeast. Now, dry yeast I don't think is a problem because it's not in, there's probably a scientific term for this. Dry yeast is safer because there's no water in it, right? So, because when there's water in things and you freeze them, the cell membranes, because water crystallizes, it becomes ice, the cell membranes get ruptured. And I knew this because when I make inmate brew, that old thing, this is probably dirty. I usually use this to make some hooch or inmate brew or whatever, where you just take some, you know, regular juice from the grocery store, put some sugar in it and some yeast in it, and, you know, you got sort of a cheap man's wine, right? Then what you do is you freeze it. And it won't freeze completely, but when you freeze it, it kills the yeast. So when I froze this, I knew, I thought, oh, I think I've buggered it up. So I posted a comment or a question to the 17 Brew Crew forum just to see what they thought. And it looks like the consensus, and thanks guys, by the way, for those of you who responded. That's why you should be signing in for that forum. It's an awesome, if you got a question, man, and within wasn't even a half an hour, I had answers. It was great. Some people responded and the consensus was it was probably not going to be worth it. So I'm going to discard that, but I kept it just to show you guys. There's probably still some live yeast in here, believe it or not. And I was going to do an experiment where I was going to proof this yeast. The reason I think there's still some live yeast in here is because the lid is stiff, right? And if I'll hold it up to my microphone here. This damn thing keeps moving around. If I can get it open. No, it doesn't, no, it didn't make a noise. Yeah, nope. Smells like hell. So that's it. I'm not gonna, there's my proofing. It stinks. So if you freeze your yeast accidentally, don't use it. So be careful with that. Now, today, when I kegged this beer, which again is really, really prematurely, I should leave it for a few days to clear up, but it's cold outside. It's -7 Celsius. So that's pretty cold. It's below freezing. So I put the keg out back and sat on my back porch. And with the little bit of wind that was going and the whole cold temperatures, see, in the freezer, when you put your keg in the freezer, if you do it that way, that's the way I do it. First, you have to take everything else out because otherwise stuff's going to freeze. So some people can't do that because I've got a big freezer with 4 or 5 kegs or 2, 3 kegs. You can't be taking stuff, you can't do that. But I have sort of a pipeline where I've got keg, just using basically the same keg from brew to brew. So, I put it in the freezer, but the freezer has to run and run and run and run for 2 hours straight because it's fighting to keep that temperature inside the freezer down to, freezing temperatures. And if, I can pretty much bet you that if you put a thermometer in there, it's going to take at least a couple of hours for the temperature inside that freezer when you've got that warm keg in there to get down to freezing. It's just fighting against the heat that's coming off of the keg. But when you place it outside in the middle of the winter, when you've got sub-zero temperatures, there ain't no fighting. Okay? Mother Nature is banging that keg with cold air, period. There's no warmth at all. So it actually works quite well. I love the winter for no other reason. I love the winter for that reason. Get it up the stairs, throw it out the back door, and it's cold in a couple of hours. So that's how I did this. So I didn't freeze anything this time because I didn't turn my Keezer into a freezer. Okay, so that's what we've got. So now, as you can see, just in the time that we've been talking, we've got a division here. And, you know, I'm probably going to end up experimenting with this for quite some time. Because what I'll do before I use this is I'll give it a shake. Like I'm going to put it in the fridge and I'm not going to use it right away, but when I do use it, I'll give it a shake and I'll mix this all around. And then I'll use about that much of it in my beer. This is very seat of the pants, okay? Very seat of your pants. You know, there's a lot of people out there who have, you know, chemistry backgrounds or even, you know, brewers like John Palmer or, you know, guys like that who are going to, you know, would have something to say about this, that are going to, you know, they would know how to optimize the yeast count, how much to put in and how much, you know, because you can overpitch, you can underpitch, and it stresses the yeast. And there's a sweet spot in there where you can get just the right amount of yeast in your beer. You know, I'm a home brewer. I'm just trying to, you know, I'm down here in the basement, just trying to crank some beers out so I've got something to enjoy without spending a lot of money. So I'm going by the seat of my pants, as they say. And that, to me, even the bottom part looks pretty clean. So I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing for as many times as I can. I've always felt guilty about, you know, when I clean out my fermenters, that stuff at the bottom. You know, if you leave it for a day or two, it stinks. But if you get it right away, it's like, I've always felt bad. I felt like a murderer pouring it down the drain, you know, rinsing it out with hot water. There goes all that wonderful yeast that just worked so hard to make your beer. And you're just going to kill it. So I felt bad. It's like, I raised my kids not to step on bugs and worms because, you know, they're living things, right? So anyway, so I'm going to put that in the fridge, and the next time I make a batch, which is probably going to be, well, I don't have anything in right now. I'll probably have to, maybe Thursday evening, I'm going to make another couple of batches of beer. And I'm going to break the rules. I think I said this in another episode. They say don't brew a dark beer with it and then go back to a lighter colored beer. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna break those rules and I'm gonna see what happens, because I've had some pretty dark beers in this. This yeast has been through some dark beers. Not dark, not like stouts or you know, porters, but dark ales. You know, an English porter English bitter is a fairly darker, ambery kind of beer. And look, so washing yeast, if you're really fussy and you want a clean, you're making a batch for a competition or something like that, and you need the cleanest yeast you can get so you can fit, you know, within your style guidelines or whatever, fine, rinse your yeast. But it's not without its consequences, okay? There's always a chance that something's going to get infected, and, you know, there's probably people out there that have done it many, many times with good results. So they've obviously got their procedure down pat. I did it once, and actually I've done it twice, and one of the times that I did it, the yeast after about a week smelled like dog poop. So I obviously screwed up. So one other time I did it, it was fine. And this has been washed once. So I can't say that, you know, every single brew that I've done is in this jar. There was one wash that I did, but I lost a lot of yeast when I did that because I kind of messed it up. So I'm terrible at keeping notes. I'm trying to do this from memory. I'll probably go back and remember what I've done and try to write it down the best I can. The documentation on this yeast is very poor. All I know is it's been washed once, and this is number 6 generation, okay? And it was washed like the 3rd time. And I don't believe I needed to do that. But from that washed yeast, where I had just a little bit left after I washed it, and I lost a lot of it, I have this now. Let's give this another whirl. 17. You know, it might be slightly under attenuated because I think I bottled it a little too early, or well, kegged it a little too early. I recognize that slight under attenuation. I don't think it's because of the yeast. All right. I mean, look. I mean, really, look at that. I mean, I don't think the yeast has any issue. But I will keep you guys informed every week. You know, every couple weeks or whatever. I'm basically doing back-to-back brews, you know, not getting the absolute best beer in the world or anything like that, because I'm not aging it. I'm just trying to get through some batches here so that I can see what happens after like 10 generations. And the beer is fine. It would certainly be a lot better if I gave it more time and put more work into it and all that kind of thing. I understand that. That's, you know, I get that, but, you know, this is just an experiment, and I'm trying to brew because Christmas is coming and I'm trying to get some extra batches made. I only have 2 kegs. Well, as long as I've got an extra keg for Christmas Eve, because we're having family and everybody, so I just have it out and stick it outside, and it's not going to be in this house. We've got a hall we've booked, so, and we'll stick it outside and let people try it and see what they say. Maybe we'll shoot video. I don't know. Depends on if they're willing to be on video and do that. But we'll see what happens. We did that with my wine last year. My homemade wine, which is right, I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here in a carboy. Zip that up, actually. Love these carboy covers. Love them. We did a taste test between my homemade wine and wine that my mom and my sister had made at a place where they do it for you, kind of thing, you know, like a brew it. What do you call those places where you tell them what you want and they brew it, you pitch your yeast, you go in, you bottle it. Yeah. And they actually liked my wine a little bit better than theirs. And that's probably because the place that does it, they top it up to 23 liters every time. So I don't do that, right? So I don't top up my wine at all. When I siphon it from primary to secondary and go through all that, I do not top up. So if you make your own wine, you probably know what that means. And when you go into these places, you can actually say to them, don't top up, and they won't. And you only get 28 bottles instead of 30, but you get a better tasting wine. It's the same with me when I brew these kits. I mean, I only brew 20 liters instead of 23. And the funny thing is, I don't have a can with me, but Cooper's has started to put on the can, some of the cans, on a little square, they'll put, you know, for 23 liters, add this and this. For 20 liters, add this and this. So whether they just realize that, you know, you do get a better beer when you put less water, you dilute it less. Or whether, I don't know, maybe they heard me. I don't know. I doubt that, but you never know. So anyway, that's my experiment. Yeah, I mean, this is probably going to get higher and higher. I honestly think there might even be some CO2 being produced in here, which is why we're getting this part. So when you post your comment down below, take that in consideration, because this is actually quite hard. The lid is hard. Let me see if we can get a hiss. Yeah, there was a hiss there. So anyway, listen, if you got a good yeast that you like and the beer turns out great, just do what I just did. Get a jar, clean it well, sanitize it in Star San, and save it. Save that yeast. Dump it into your next brew. I wouldn't dump this whole thing in, but maybe a third or half or a third or something. Just, there you go. And you can keep multiplying these things. And if you've got enough space, I guess you could probably have many jars of it and just label them like I don't do. I should start actually. This one's 3 generations. This one's 4 generations. This one's, and you'll never run out of yeast. If you get a good yeast companies probably don't want you to know this, but if you get a good quality, expensive yeast, you can really keep on using it. Okay? Yeast and recycling it. Kind of an ongoing thing. Gives me something to talk about if I don't have anything else to talk about. So I also want to thank 17brewcrew.com too for just being there. Right? Just like, I got a question, you put a question on, go up, make a sandwich, have a tea, have a beer, eat some, food, and watch YouTube for a little while, go back, you got answers. I think that's it for me, guys. I'm out. Thank you very much for watching this week. Hope to see you Friday night on my live broadcast and on other videos, of course, which I have planned, and I've said this a million times. I've got other subjects that I talk about, so stay tuned, subscribe, thumb up the video if you like it, all that jazz. And thank you to those who have recently purchased shirts, and the holiday season is upon us, so that's been happening a little more frequently than usual, so that's great. Thank you. And if you haven't got yours yet, you'll get it real soon. So look forward to that, and enjoy. Enjoy your home brew, enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Cheers.